that first 5 seconds I said didn't exist because now we are streaming. And what is up? Welcome back to LFG after we took a long weekend.
Peace.
And I'm still in weekend mode, but we are officially up on the stream. Dave Benz alongside Jim Kozamore. And Koz, I'm much closer to you right now. I'm in Dallas. We're in the same time zone today.
That's a sweet backdrop you have there, buddy.
I am in my friend Cash Soroy. He runs a production company called The Well Creative. And I am in his, he has a podcast studio as part of his production studios here. And that's where I am coming to you from today. So let me
That's cool.
I'll widen out my shot here on the live stream. So they do a podcast here called The Mom Game. And you guys might remember Emily Jones was on, she was on our show. She's the Rangers sideline reporter, and she was on our show when we were doing our spring swing. She's a regular contributor to that show, as well as some other female sports celebrities here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So they come in here and do their podcast. So I don't know if the studio will be available for me tomorrow or not. I have not found that out yet, but hopefully it will be because I do have a good setup. I'm kind of like at home. I've got an extra monitor, so I've got all the bells and whistles here, so I can, instantly get to all the important clips that I need to play during the show.
Timberwolves.
Such as Timberwolves and, all that. So before we dive into anything, Matt, you're in a different location today as well. Where are you at?
I'm in Phoenix. I'm in Arizona hanging out with the girlfriend, and my hair did not look like this 60 seconds ago. She came in with a comb, and she was like, "You need to look better, blah, 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 blah." And I was like, all right, fine. So
I think
that's not making your girlfriend look right.
Yeah.
She cares about you. She cares about the way you look, and you're blah, 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 blah. That's not going to score any points there, brother.
Yeah, and I didn't hear any of that, by the way. I saw her coming in and straightening your hair. I didn't hear her saying a word.
By the way, that was complimentary. She was saying how good I looked when it was combed. See, it's a compliment. I wasn't.
By the way, shout out to Celsius Water if you'd like to sponsor the show. We'll do a sponsorship for you for the cost of one case a piece per month. How's that? That's not really very much.
By the way,
like
you mentioned you mentioned Emily Jones. Is she related to Mike Jones?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't. I'm going to hold off on making any kind of assertion because it's possible. But all I know is there are a lot of Joneses in the world. So there's a
They related to
Mike Jones,
Davy
right?
Jones, the former Monkees great lead singer.
Yes,
Any
Davy
relation
Jones.
there?
Hey, we're the now you're making me think I need to play a little Monkeys.
There's only
Daydream.
there's only
Believer.
one surviving monkey. There's only one monkey left. Do you know who it is?
No.
Give out the number. Let's see if people know.
Oh, yeah, we do have the phone calls back today because Matt Fowler is back with us today. So we can get some phone calls in.
What number is this, Chip?
Oh.
7A. Don't get excited, man.
What the heck is this that's playing? I thought that this was going to be. There we go. Oh, I didn't realize the song started with some kind of talking. I love this song.
I didn't either.
Pisa, do you know this?
This is a young.
Yeah,
Yes, I
I
do.
know it.
You do? This is young Davy Jones when he was in his prime. He's no longer with us. And then the one monkey who it was for many years was thought to be the brother of a former Green Bay Packer. The Packer's name was Torkelson. You guys know who the other monkey was?
No.
Peter Tork.
Peter
He's
Tork.
passed away. Yes. He went by Peter Tork. He passed away, but they're not related. For many years, it was thought they were related. They're not related. And then the one monkey who, along with his mom, invented a very popular office tool, I'll call it. Do you know what that is?
He
He invented MTV.
He invented MTV.
He invented MTV. Is he a billionaire?
Yes, he's the guy who came up with MTV. He and his mom invented something in their kitchen that made them more money than the Beatles and MTV combined.
An electric can
Did
opener.
he invent the?
No,
Did he-
it had to do with business. It had to do with
he invent the
it's
paper
no
shredder?
longer used in business, but it was used in business for many years, and it was a very important thing when we had typewriters.
A whiteout.
Yes. Yes. Do you know? know who it was who invented whiteout.
I don't know who was it that invented whiteout.
Michael Nesmith. Michael Nesmith, who wore the beanie cap. He was the silent one in the Beatles. He invented MTV, and he and his mother in her kitchen invented whiteout.
That is amazing. That is the kind of stuff you're
That
only
is
gonna
one
get
well
here
life.
on LFG.
I know.
You're not getting that anywhere else, folks.
That's a life well lived.
Yeah, that is a life
I
well
know.
lived.
By the way, the Mike Jones thing went over. The Mike Jones thing went over everybody's head except for possibly Bisa. Bisa, you know Mike Jones, right?
Yeah.
I don't know Mike
Who?
Jones.
I have no idea who Mike
Bisa?
Jones
Who?
is.
Who?
My job.
Okay, so Mike Jones was actually there's also a reporter in the Bay Area. His name's Mike Jones, and actually Kyle Shanahan made the joke in a press conference one time. But Mike Jones is a rapper, and his signature moniker is saying his name very loudly, usually at the beginning of a verse, and his fans would always say who, and he would say Mike Jones, and so they'll go who Mike Jones, who Mike Jones, and so I said Bisa, who Bisa, Mike Jones. And so that's more of a my generation thing. You guys wouldn't know. You guys wouldn't understand.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, that
You're right.
went way over my head. Yeah, and over Coze's head as well. I don't feel too bad about it though, Coze. You know, we are, you know,
No.
we are elderly white men.
I will.
So-
You know what though? I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it one day when I'm around younger people.
Yeah, you know
I'm
what?
going to do that and see what reaction it gets.
Now that you mention it, though, that Mike Jones is a rapper, believe it or not, I think I did know that. I just didn't know it till now. Oh, and the only reason I'm saying I think I know that is when I'm going to name drop when I was working out with Von Miller and his brother Vince, like 5 years ago with my trainer in the Bay Area. They would play a lot of rap, and I said to them one time, "Who is this?" And they said it was Mike Jones, and so I remember that clicking in now. But I would have never gotten that without you bringing that up. So there is that. We have a stacked show to get to today, guys. I don't even know. I mean, there's a lot of NBA stuff we need to get to. We need to talk about the Timberwolves and the whooping they put on the Nuggets last night. We need to talk about possibly Jamal Murray maybe facing a suspension for Game 3. Jalen Brunson continues to play like, I don't know, one of the greatest players to ever wear a Knicks uniform, which is unbelievable. Jimmy Butler may be wearing out his welcome in Miami. Pat Riley telling him to keep his mouth shut. This is a lot going on there. There's cheating in the world of IndyCar that has led to suspensions that we need to get to.
Oh, I don't like that. I don't like it. The Borg Warner Trophy is the greatest individually won trophy in all of sport.
It is a hell of a trophy.
That
And
left
it's
you
coming up at
speechless.
the end of this month. Ron Burgundy is on my mind. That's why I wasn't thinking of the Borg Warner Trophy.
Which
But
trophy is that?
that's the trophy for the Indy
The
500.
Borg Warner.
The Borg Warner. That's when they give out the milk.
Yes.
That's the Indy 500 trophy.
You covered that, right, Dave? You covered that, right?
I did. I
covered
was
it,
in Indy for
right?
about a year and a half, and I covered the Indy 500, and it becomes the biggest city in the entire state of Indiana on Memorial Day weekend, the Sunday before Memorial Day, unless there's weather and it gets pushed to Memorial Day, as happens quite often. But guys, before we get into any of that, we need to talk about what happened on, was it Sunday night? Sunday night, what happened on Sunday night, and it was the GROAT, and there was this.
But you won't be forgotten. You'll always be remembered as Eli Manning's bitch.
Will Ferrell as Ron Burgundy at the greatest roast of all time as Tom Brady gets roasted. Bisa was lighting up the chat chain during all of that. And I tuned into it late because
Yeah,
I
she
watched.
was.
I'm
working
in Dallas.
overtime, man. My machine was smoking.
Yeah, I'm in Dallas, so I was watching the Stars and the Golden Knights game 7. And so we flipped over to it at the end. And I got to tell you, I really thought if you play clips like that, you're like, wow, that was really funny. And there were some good moments. There's no doubt. And as I said, I tuned in late, so I missed some of the early stuff. Who was the female comedian that's blowing up now? I'm drawing a blank on her name.
Nikki Glazer.
Nikki Glazer.
Nikki Glazer is
So-
blowing up as possibly the new funniest roaster in all of roasting, which she she laid some heavy licks on a number of people.
Yeah, so there were no punches pulled in this thing, and I thought when it was all said and done, what did I just watch? What did I just watch? And it was really, and I know these roasts they are really cutthroat, but when Tom Brady got up there and he goes after Kim Kardashian and brings up her kids, like that to me is a line that shouldn't be crossed. And and then I see,
Especially since, if I could just say this about the kids thing, especially since Tom Brady once hung up on the Boston radio station. He had a weekly Monday morning thing after the game that he would do. He hung up on them because one of the people made a joke about Tom Brady's kids in passing. Brady came on and said, I heard that joke. I'm not doing this show anymore. And he hung up the phone. So there's a guy who knows how to protect kids when you're in the spotlight. Tom Brady's definitely, when he was married to Giselle, in the spotlight. So I found that particularly distasteful.
yeah, and Brady's joke, it wasn't about Kim Kardashian's kids, but it was about their father, and he mentioned the kids. And you just don't go there. You don't do anything involved with kids. And he brought up a joke about 9/11. He said, I remember that September night when the two jets went into the tower, that was Drew Bledsoe. It's like, come on, really? You're going to bring up 9/11? And there was a lot of stuff that I found distasteful. And then at the very end, the second credit to come up is executive producer Tom Brady. And you want to talk about how narcissistic do you need to be that you need to executive produce a roast? And sure, okay, you're coming across like you're sitting there and taking it, but this was all about you and all about ego. And I'm sorry. I found the whole thing, to be honest with you, it kind of made me want to vomit. I just thought it was when it was over, I'm like, I can't believe I wasted 45 minutes of my life watching this garbage.
Wow, that is a hot take. You're about the only hot take artist who's taken that, cackling along with a lot of the joke tellers that, no, that was on board. That was on board. I guess the only one that Brady seemed to be unhappy about was a massage parlor joke about Robert Kraft. Is that right?
Apparently,
It was a
he-
good joke, but it.
Yeah, he went
Yeah,
over
I mean,
to
it
Jeff.
wasn't
He
a
went
good
over to
joke.
Jeff Ross and told him and whispered something in his ear and supposedly told him to lay off that. Now, whether or not Brady was kidding or not, I don't know. The only guy that was funny, I thought. But by the way, Ben Affleck was the worst. He absolutely bombed. Peyton Manning.
Has he had a lot of facial surgery? Has he had a lot of prep?
He had a lot of
plastic
Botox,
surgery?
man. No, to me that was Botox.
Is that what it was?
It was a lot of Botox.
Okay.
And yeah, that was a lot of Botox. And then Peyton Manning I thought was pretty good. But and then when Robert Kraft came up and made Bill Belichick come up and do a shot with him, I don't even think Belichick drank the shot, and that Belichick couldn't get down from the podium fast enough when all that was over with. That was just uncomfortable to watch.
Wow, that's you know what? It's I'm glad you're giving this side of it because a lot of people have gone with just the hot takes. Most of my intake of it, all of my intake of it, has been through social media. And you do get the highlights that way. You don't see the cringeworthy stuff in between. So this is actually, I think, it's a really interesting view of the entire evening that everyone thought was this wild thing. And the question was going to be, who would be the next best person to roast in this fashion? And I don't know if you have any suggestions.
Well, who's got a
I
big
got
enough
one.
ego? LeBron? LeBron would probably be the next
that would
guy,
be
right?
good. That would be.
I got
that
a
would
better
be
one.
good.
Because I don't think what are you're gonna make jokes about his plugs, right? That's number one. And what else are you gonna make jokes about?
Receding hairline.
That's the same thing as plugs.
Oh,
But
my
that's
bad.
okay. Let's say there are two things. So receding
bad.
hairline. But he's not a bad guy. He didn't divorce a supermodel. He didn't leave a pregnant girlfriend, right?
Well, Tom Brady's not a bad guy either. He made some mistakes, but he's not a bad guy.
No, I'm not saying that Tom Brady's a bad guy, but those other things he did. But he's
Yeah,
not.
I mean, they're
he's not.
roast-worthy for
LeBron's
sure.
not looked. He's looked at as a crybaby.
Well, maybe he
I
gets
just don't
roasted for that.
know-
Maybe he gets roasted for some of his politics. Somebody will come up and tell him to shut up and dribble. But yeah, it's
Yeah, maybe.
I'm sure that comedians could come up with plenty
This
of
roast
stuff to
was
rip LeBron about. But
You know who I think would be better? I think Steph Curry would be better to
ooh,
roast
Steph would be good.
be fun.
because,
That'd be fun.
especially since if you look at his background and his parents, you can't tell me that they wouldn't be ripping the fact that his mom's, you know, with some neighborhood white guy and then his dad's off with some other person. There'd be a lot of material based on his family background, wouldn't there?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
especially his brother. His brother, I believe, and I haven't checked it in a while. But his brother Seth, I believe, has a higher career 3-point shooting percentage, unless that has fallen off. So somebody that's low hanging fruit,
Wow.
but somebody could make a joke
is-
about that.
That's good knowledge, though. That's good. Like you'd never guess that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but going back real quick, if I can jump in with my opinion on the Tom Brady thing, I liked a lot of it, but I liked it in the sense that like, wow, okay, they're stepping over the line. Now I didn't hear the 9/11 joke. I didn't hear the joke about his kids.
You didn't
I
hear
think I
Brady,
fell
didn't
asleep
you?
at that
Didn't you
point.
hear Brady
'Cause
do his thing?
I I watched it, but I was half in and out. It was real late at night because I rewatched. I didn't watch it live. I rewatched it starting at like 9 o'clock, and the thing was like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So obviously those jokes, kids or 9/11, yeah, just don't go there. And the most distasteful one I thought were the two guys that roasted him together, and they started comparing him to serial killers.
Yeah. See, I didn't
because
see that
they,
part.
You know,
I didn't-
that was bad. But I liked it from the sense of, okay, yeah, I know these jokes are over the line, but that's what a lot of comedy is jokes that are over the line.
Yeah,
And
but
so,
there have to be limits, man. And it was just But listen, I will.
well, right, and
I did think
Well,
the one
sorry.
Brady the one thing Brady did say that was funny was what I forget the exact joke, but he said something along the lines of hey, he was like, I threw the ball to everybody. I wasn't racist, and you can ask any brother who came to New England, they left with a ring except for Randy Moss. Like that was pretty good. He was taking a dig at Randy. But anyway, Matt,
the
but
Deflategate
overall
one was good.
Matt, you seemed to like it though. You seemed to like it overall. When we were on our call this morning, you had the opposite take of me.
Yeah, I did like it. I thought that obviously the low hanging fruit was going to be the divorce and the fact that Giselle's going out with her karate teacher and all this, and it's like, and I liked it, and the fact that he executive produced it, and yeah, of course he's a little narcissistic. I don't think there's a problem with executive producing your own roast. I think it got a lot of laughs. I think Kim Kardashian was terrible. But all in all, I did appreciate it, and I appreciated the jokes. But I will say, my girlfriend watched about half of it with me, and she said that a lot of it was over the line, and she didn't even get 99% of the sports references. So when the regular person who isn't a sports fan is saying that's over the line, a lot of it was. But if you can look at it from the viewpoint of comedy, then I mostly didn't have a problem with it, except for the few things that you guys said.
I will tell you the one thing I was most.
You know what? That's
Go ahead,
fine.
Coach. Go ahead, Coach.
You know what? I mean, that's what they signed up for. I'm not the audience. I don't star worship. I don't star worship my politicians, my actors and actresses, my sports, heroes. I just don't aggrandize them to the point where I need to watch them get roasted. I quit watching the Michael Jordan Love Fest during COVID because I was like, all right, 3 episodes in, I get it. And I shut it down. I'm not the audience, I guess, for that. So maybe I'm best social media clips and trying to find things.
As your body grows
Are pretty rugged, though, man. Those jokes are rugged. Woo!
Well, my favorite joke, one of my favorite jokes it was early in Brady's monologue before I fell asleep. He said, the NFL spent $20 million
Oh yeah, that was good.
and came to the conclusion that I might have done something with the balls. And he said, they could have just given me the $20 million, and I would have told them I did it.
That one was pretty good. That was pretty good. All right. The only thing missing in that one was, guys, I just wish that they had one more guest woman. I wish that this person had came in and just delivered one line.
Bitch, stay in this ballgame.
I just wish she had just come on and said that.
So awesome.
There's never
awesome.
never a wrong time to play that. All right, listen. Let's move on from the Brady thing.
And Gronk spiking the shot. That was funny.
Yeah. No, that wasn't funny. That was stupid. That was another thing that I was like, what are you doing? Gronk broke a shot glass 5 feet away from people in the front row. Shards of glass flying at people. I thought that was one of the dumbest things in the entire thing. What are you doing?
Matt, get off of Dave's lawn, okay? Get off of Dave's lawn right now. He might
okay.
be in Dallas. He
All
might be in
right.
Dallas, but you're still on his lawn.
Get off the lawn.
I know.
Wow. Come on, man.
No, seriously, when I
This is
saw
hot,
that, I was
hot.
like, what the hell are you doing? Shards of glass
there's
are
more
flying to people in the front
Put on
row.
your goggles. Oh, my God.
I'm telling you, man, that was stupid.
shot
That was as
glass.
stupid as Jamal Murray last night. Anyway.
Oh, there's a tease. There's a tease.
yeah,
We're
there's
up
a
against
tease.
the break.
And then we also have this as a tease from last night. How about that in Denver, there were some MVP chants last night.
Edwards on top. He'll put up a three. Bullseye.
Edwards put his hands out like Jordan, and they were chanting MVP in Denver's building last night. The Denver Nuggets, you talk about Eli Manning making Tom Brady his bitch. The Denver Nuggets were made to look like the Timberwolves bitch last night. I'm telling you, man.
Wow.
That was unbelievable last night, what the Timberwolves did to the Denver Nuggets in Denver, and now they're going home with the 2-0 series lead. And even Stephen A. Smith suddenly is on the bandwagon for the Minnesota Timberwolves. So we got a lot to get into with all that. We'll talk some NBA coming up on the other side of this break. You're listening to LFG on a Tuesday after a long weekend edition. We are back after a quick timeout. Stay with us.
Meet Jack Torrance.
I'm outlining a new writing project.
He's a writer looking for inspiration.
Lots of ideas. No good ones.
Meet Danny. He's a kid looking for a dad.
There's hardly anybody to play with around here.
What's up, Doc?
Jack just can't finish his book.
I don't want to sound melodramatic, but there's no way to make it economically feasible.
Here's to 5 miserable months.
But now, sometimes what we need the most is just around the corner.
I'm your new foster father. I'd do anything.
Climbing up on Salisbury Hill,
I love it.
I could see the city light. My heart going boom, boom, boom. Son, he said, grab your things, I've come to take you home.
Shiny.
In a city of 8 million people, it's not easy to find the one, your soulmate, somebody to spend the rest of your life with.
Yeah, that's what happened. No, I got invited anyway.
What was that?
Nothing.
You mumbled something.
No, I didn't.
Coming this summer, it's the movie about nothing.
Hey, Jerry, Dick Corcoran, president of France.
I know who you are.
Idiot.
Serenity now!
You get fired! Then what are you gonna do? Move back home?
Join Jerry.
I'm hungry. Are you hungry?
Just a salad. Just a salad.
George.
I think you mean it.
I do.
Here's my coat.
Take it.
2 sleeves.
Put it on.
I'm gone.
I'm going home using my own toilet. No judgment.
Elaine.
I'm here because I was wondering if you might be interested in this.
And Kramer
You're all hopped up on the caffeine.
on an unforgettable adventure.
What's the rules? Come on, jackass!
Mom! We're not gay.
So I'm coming out of the closet.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
I'm Cosmo Kramer, the Yes Man.
This is super awkward.
I call him Golden Boy.
Yellow? Seriously, yellow. I don't have a boyfriend. I have lots of boyfriends. Ask around.
They're all back for one last wild ride.
Why do they call it Ovaltine?
Don't you drag me into this.
Wear the same shirt, we'll look like idiots. Please, Mr. Willow, you gotta listen to me.
Hey, I'm just a fan.
It's the braless wonder.
Nothing for you. Who told you to put the bomb on? You very Batman.
You're an anti-dentist.
I can hurt you.
Oh, Susan.
Every single girlfriend is back.
You call me Schmoopy, you're Schmoopy.
She had man hands.
And yada, 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 I'm really tired today. She's a two-face.
I don't have a square to spare.
I hate you.
You're horrible, horrible.
Marissa Tomei!
Mulva? A gymnast, Jerry. She's one of these low talkers. You can't hear a word she's saying.
They should sleep together, you idiots, not sleep together.
George dating a lady Jerry.
And of course,
They're real and they're spectacular.
it's Seinfeld, the movie. Economy.
All right, welcome back. Tuesday edition of LFG that feels like a Monday. And guys,
Have
come
you
back.
seen the Pop-Tart movie yet? Speaking
no,
of,
I've not. Is
speaking
it-
of Jerry Seinfeld?
Is it out?
It's out now.
It is.
Yeah, it's out now on. Is it Netflix? I think it's Netflix. And I have not seen it, but I'm trying to make time to see the Colin Quinn comedy special. He's brilliant, and that's one. And then two, I want to see the Pop-Tart movie.
Maybe I will watch the Pop-Tart movie this evening. That is with my buddy Cash.
It's not a bad call.
Hanging out at my buddy Cash's condo all week long here in the Metroplex of Dallas-Fort Worth.
Oh, two bachelors in the Metroplex.
No, he's
Forget it.
married.
Ladies?
No, he's married.
Woo!
Cash and his lovely wife
Oh,
Mary, who appropriately he's married to Mary. Cash and his lovely wife Mary are being very gracious hosts, and they've got the sweetest condo in uptown Dallas. Got a wraparound patio. They literally had Cash's 50th
Nice.
birthday
Oh.
party there last year and had about 120 people with a live band on their patio. That's how big their patio is.
Wow.
And around the corner is the
Wow.
gate to the pool deck. So there's a pool and a hot tub, basically as an extension of their patio. So yeah, I'm living in the catbird seat this week. And by the way, yesterday I had the greatest day. I will try to get a clip on the show either later today or tomorrow. But I am in town because, well, later this week I'm working the NTX Scouting Combine, which is a lower tier combine for guys that are hoping to possibly get drafted in the G League or get a contract to play basketball overseas. So I'll be working that combine later this week. But I was here yesterday to shoot a show at the National Video Game Museum in Frisco, Texas. And Frisco, if you don't know, and I did not know, Frisco is blowing up. The Dallas Cowboys, that's where their headquarters are now. They used to be in Valley Ranch, and they moved about 10 years ago to Frisco, and they built a complex called the Star. I drove past that yesterday. It's huge. And then in Frisco at the Discovery Center area, Frisco Discovery Center, part of that is the National Video Game Museum. Guys, this thing is absolutely huge. Like every video game that you can possibly imagine in history, they have. They've got the home consoles. They've got the original Pong. They've got computers.
Pong. That was my question. Pong.
Yeah. They've got the original.
Has to start with Pong.
They've got Dr. Pong that I guess when Pong first came out, doctors were putting it in their doctors' offices to keep the patients busy while they were waiting. I mean, they've got it was unbelievable. They've got every console. They've got a Barbie Game Boy, Barbie Game Boy, there were only 2 made. It's a prototype, and it was pitched to Mattel, and Mattel rejected it, and they've got one of only 2 in existence. And, oh, yeah, by the way, you think that's gone up in value a little bit over the last 6 months since the Barbie movie came out?
Yeah.
So this was really, it was really
imagine.
cool yesterday.
Do they have the handheld football?
Oh, they
have
got
a little
everything. Yes.
handheld football one where
Yes. They have every variation.
I forget
of
the
it.
name of that one though.
Mattel. It was Mattel.
God, I used to play that in class all the time.
Yeah, I was playing that yesterday.
It wasn't Tecmo Bowl, no.
They have Tecmo Bowl on the Sega Genesis. They have everything, and this was so much fun yesterday, going and doing this. And the guy who put the money up for this thing is a guy named Randy Pritchard, and he owns a company called Gearbox. And so I interviewed him yesterday, and he developed, the name of it is escaping me, but he developed a game for Gearbox that they're now turning into a movie, and the movie's getting released in August. And he told me he just spent 6 months in Budapest staying in a condo with Kevin Hart, and it's Emily Blunt, is it? Emily Blunt, Kevin Hart, Jack Black. Like, the cast of this movie is unbelievable. It's coming out in August. And this guy is like, this guy is like big time. So I had so much fun yesterday. I'll try to get a clip of the show to show on the air for us. Probably not today because I know they're working with the video right now. But I should have a clip I can play tomorrow just to kind of show you guys what I was looking at.
Where will
it was
we
a
see
blast.
this epic documentary? Where will we see this epic documentary?
So it's for a series called Amazing American Museums. We've already shot 2 previous episodes, one at the Haas Motorcycle Museum and the other one at the Mob Museum in Las Vegas, and those 2 are pretty much done.
That sounds cool.
And my buddy Cash is pitching these to some travel channels, and so he really wants to pump up a bunch of these. So, by the way, if you know of a great museum, and we're not talking about the Met or the SF MoMA or whatever, but if you've got a great museum that is kind of like an under the radar thing, hit us up on the text line 959-CALL-LFG because we'd love to know about that, and we can feature that on a future show. Anyway, I was playing Duran coming back, and I'm realizing that we'll probably do a short segment here and then get the sports update and then go full into the NBA, but.
The Manga Museum. The Manga Museum.
The Manga Museum? What is that?
Manga Museum. So do you know the cartoon style called manga? M-A-N-G-A?
I'm not familiar with that.
It's Japanese. It started in the 30s and 40s. It's extraordinarily popular. Whenever you see Japanese cartoons now, it's that particular style. Their style is called manga. It's globally massive. And they've got a museum I believe it's in Osaka, but it could be in Kyoto. I went to it when I was in Japan, and I have no interest in it at all, but I like museums. I just love going to museums. And we had our kids with us, and we knew that they like cartoons, so we went to this museum. So if you want to get an overseas trip out of this bad boy, I'm telling you, go to Kyoto, Japan.
But Coz, the name of the show is Amazing American Museums.
Oh, that sucks.
So I don't think
maybe they can start an American branch.
Yeah. But maybe,
I'm thinking of international things for you guys to do.
Maybe we'll have international edition.
Coz is way ahead of the curve. He's
way ahead.
Yeah.
Americans, we're only 200 plus years old, man.
Yeah.
Not like these other cultures.
Exactly.
By the way, something dawned on me the other day, which is cool and crazy at the same time. Barring any sort of unforeseen circumstances, I have very long family genes, so I will be alive, hopefully.
Well, that was a flex.
In 2076, when we have our 300 year of independence anniversary.
Okay, I can pretty much tell you that would put me at 107. I'm fairly certain that's an extreme long shot. Yeah.
I'd be gone. I'll be gone by then. Matt, that would make you how old? About 80?
85.
85? It's possible.
The tricentennial.
Well,
that'd be cool.
We did have that story, I think either last week or a couple weeks ago, about the woman who is 111. I know the man that was 111, and he said the key to life was, I think, fish and chips in England.
Yeah.
So
they got to get together. They got to hook up.
Yeah, you could. You know, I mean, you can make it to 107. I'm not sure if you want to be here at 107, but you know, you can make it.
Yeah, well,
Depends on how active you are.
Listen, it also depends on medical
Speaking
science,
of which,
right?
if you want to live a longer life, I've got I think to an extent, I think you're right. If you want to live longer, I've got the list of the 4 things you should not put in your body if you want a long and healthy life.
I guarantee you I probably put all 4 of them in.
Nutrition experts reveal 4 foods to avoid the lower your cancer risk.
All right, well, let's keep that as a teaser. Let's keep that as a teaser.
We can save that until...
Let's sneak in a quick break. Come back with a Matt Fowler Sports Update, and then I do want to get into the NBA. We will revisit that, Coach, because I am curious. I want to make sure I'm on board with all that. So let's do that. This will be a real short break, guys. Let's see. I'll tell you. We will do a 2-minute and 4-second break, and then we'll come back with a Matt Fowler Sports Update, and then we're going to talk some NBA. About what happened last night, both in New York and in the Mile High City. Stay with us here on LFG.
Your breakfast was up.
Winthrop is a very steady young man. We're lucky to have him managing our firm for us.
Hogwash. He's the product of good environment.
It's got nothing to do with environment. With his genes, you can put Winthrop anywhere and he's going to come out on top.
You have a history of juvenile arrests, I presume. Drug abuse, reform school, state prisons, and all that.
You ain't talking to this guy. I want a lawyer.
Given the right surroundings and encouragement, I'll bet that man could run our company as well as your young Winthrop. If he lost his job, and his home, and his fiancée, and his friends, if he were somehow arrested by the police and thrown in jail.
That's not mine. I've never seen that before in my life.
Yes, I'm sure he'd take to crime like a fish to water.
We'll all be very, very sorry.
It's the bottom of the hour, or close enough. Time for your Tickscape Studios Sports Update with Matt Fowler.
Free agent wide receiver Tyler Boyd is signing with the Tennessee Titans on a 1-year deal worth up to $4.5 million. The move reunites Boyd with Titans coach Brian Callahan, who was Boyd's offensive coordinator with the Cincinnati Bengals since 2019. For all your latest news, updates, and hot takes, tune in to LFG with Dave Benz, Jim Kozimar, myself, Matt Fowler, producer extraordinaire, and associate producer Bisa, who is constantly blowing up the chat with good food recipes and sports news. Now back to LFG's. Minnesota Timberwolves.
Yes, let's talk to Minnesota Timberwolves coming out of the timeout.
How could there be no Wolves update in that? How could we not get a Wolves update during that update?
Because we're going to talk about it. And to my knowledge, unless there's been a big update on a suspension of...
Well, how can we not talk about... How can we not
player,
preview the other series going on? How can you not update us on the NHL series? None of that. None of that. None of that.
Well, I can. I will next update then.
All right, love it.
Man,
so
you guys...
We're being critical. Why are you wearing a Royals shirt, by the way?
Because that was what was in my overnight duffel bag thingy.
When did you pack that? Like from 2014 or 15 when the Royals actually won a World Series?
No, my parents went to Kansas City and got me a T-shirt.
That's cool. I want to go to Kansas City. There's a museum you want to go to. The Negro Leagues Hall of Fame is unbelievable.
Right,
Unbelievable. Bob Kendricks runs it.
And I'm not saying that museum isn't unbelievable, and I do want to go see it. But I'm guessing most people know about that. This is more about like hidden gems kind of thing. You know, that's
Right.
so I'm guessing most people know that. But you know, I will definitely put that on the radar for sure. But let's talk, guys, about what transpired last night in Denver because you know, as we know, I am very conflicted about what is taking place in Minnesota right now. On one hand, I am super excited for my friends up there. I'm super excited for my friends within the organization. But you know, I'm a little bit bitter about the fact that I'm not being along on the ride after putting in 10 years of watching that team struggle. But man, I got to tell you, Anthony Edwards is so fun to watch, and I am. Is it just me? Is it just me? When I watch him, the way he handles the basketball, the way he handles his composure on the court, and yeah, I know he's trash talking a little bit, but everything that he does, it looks like a young MJ more and more. There was a sequence last night that I don't think anybody really even paid any attention to that blew my mind. He had the basketball. He had the ball on a string. Aaron Gordon, who's one of the better defenders for the Nuggets, was on him, and he went in like he was gonna go drive in, and then he comes back, and then he was just kind of playing with Gordon, and then he hits an extra gear and goes right by him for a layup. There is absolutely nothing right now that it seems like Anthony Edwards can't do. The Timberwolves, that defensive clinic they put on was unbelievable. Charles Barkley at halftime saying that was the best defensive performance he had ever seen. And Kenny Smith said ever, and Charles said ever. Like, that was what they did to Denver last night in that first half. This is a team that is the defending NBA champs and has the MVP and is at home. And they embarrassed them in their own building last night. I am in awe of what I saw last night out of the Timberwolves.
And they did it without a guy, right?
Yeah,
defensively, they did it without a guy.
Rudy Gobert, he welcomed a new baby into the world earlier in the day, and he was not able to get to Denver in time for the game. And they told Rudy before the game, don't worry, big fella, we're going to go out and win this for you. And Rudy wears number 27. And both Karl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards both scored 27 points last night.
Wow. Now, and again, I am not the gambler that you two are. But when you found out that Rudy Gobert was not going to play, and you knew that Minnesota won game one, did you or did you not bet the house on Denver in game two?
No. Actually,
I advised friends to bet the house on Denver in game two.
Last night, I told my buddy Cash. I told my buddy Cash last night, in Texas, it's legal to gamble. And I told my buddy Cash last night, I said, what's Minnesota money line in this game? And he looked at it, he goes, plus 240. And I said, Minnesota's either going to get blown out or they're going to win. They're not going to lose a close game. So he put a little coin on Minnesota money line, and he won last night. So that was a nice little take at plus 240. And I was too lazy to get up and get my laptop to put in my own wager, which I regret not doing.
That is lazy.
That was lazy.
That is, you are an American. You are a true American.
I regret not doing that last night too. But here's what I really regret. Remember when we were talking, I think it was with Drew Goldfarb. At one point, the Minnesota Timberwolves were 20-1 to win the title.
Hey Matt, I don't want to cut you off on the gambling part, but I don't want to talk about the gambling aspect of this right now. I think it's more. I think it merits more conversation to talk about how good this team is right now. And this team?
Well,
go ahead, Coase.
But also, you mentioned that Anthony Edwards did a little bit of trash talking. Honestly, I think that plays into the Michael Jordan comparisons. Again, you've got to go on an incredible run of winning championships to get into that discussion. But there certainly are a lot of things that you could look at and say, wow, That reminds me of 23. That reminds me of what Michael used to do. Even when the Bulls were losing in the playoffs to the Boston Celtics, Jordan was going for, what did he go for, 68 one game in which he lost the game at the Garden. That's pretty remarkable stuff. And so, and also let me point this out. Dave Benz was the first guy to say Anthony Edwards is going to be the face of the NBA. I know that
Did
there
say
are.
that.
He did. And so you saw it before everyone else did. And it is incredible what the guy is doing. And you know what? I would garner to say that even though they made some pretty serious moves, and they had Karl Anthony Towns, and they made the move for Gobert, I still would say that they're a little bit ahead of schedule. And if they get there, man, that's only going to play into Ant's history and play into his narrative more and more throughout his career.
Are you ready for an insanely hot take? This is probably the hottest take I've ever had on the show.
Dude, do I have to put on fire retardant gear for this?
You might.
Okay.
Before any of this happens, I'm calling it now.
I love it.
The next. Yep. Yeah. No. Chernobyl.
Give me Chernobyl.
You need Chernobyl for this one? This is
Chernobyl fire. Yep. Yeah. My face is, this is a face melter. He's coming in hot with this face melter.
Love that. Before any of this happens, I'm calling it the next dynasty in the NBA. Multiple championships will be Minnesota.
Oklahoma City Thunder.
No.
Oklahoma City Thunder.
Minnesota is going to win multiple championships.
Listen, the only thing is I don't know what Rudy's contract is, and Mike Conley's a little long in the tooth. So and Mike Conley's really a guy that keeps all this going. Do I think Minnesota has a really good chance to win this year? Yeah, I do. Do I think they've got a really good chance to maybe be and next deals, and Rudy's a little long in the tooth, and Mike's definitely long in the tooth. They're gonna, but hey, for right now, enjoy it, man. This is a franchise that they hadn't won a playoff series since 2004, and they've done something they've never done in franchise history, which is win 6 consecutive playoff games, and they're going home up 2-0 on the defending champs, and they're likely to send them home with a sweep because Jamal Murray, the other part of this story that we have to talk about, guys, is what the hell was Jamal Murray doing and what was their coach doing last night, because Mike Malone lost his mind. Mike Malone runs out onto the court and gets in the face of Mark Davis, doesn't even get a tee. I don't know how he didn't at least get a tee, let alone get ejected. He's allowed to stay in the game. And then a few minutes later, Jamal Murray is throwing a towel at Mark Davis and then throwing a heat pad at Mark Davis that misses and goes out onto the court while play is going on. Jamal Murray has to get suspended by the NBA. He has to get suspended by the NBA. And I'm not saying that as somebody who's rooting for the Timberwolves, because I don't honestly know that I am. I mean, I think I am, but my heart is rooting for them. But again, it's convoluted. But I'll tell you that they need to set the precedent. You cannot be throwing things at the officials. You cannot be throwing things onto the court. It has to be disciplinary action in a stern way from the NBA.
Well, let me understand this. How can you have 3 officials on the floor who are stationed at certain angles so that they see everything, and nobody sees, first, a towel get thrown into the air, and second, sees a hot pad was slid onto the floor in some way, shape, or form? How the officiating crew missed it is deplorable.
Well, the thing that the officiating crew didn't miss, Coz, is they didn't miss Mike Malone coming out of the court. I don't know. The bigger question is, how did he not get a tee? I didn't even think about that. He didn't get teed up. But, yeah, I don't have an answer for it. I do know that a pool reporter talked to Mark Davis after the game last night, and Mark Davis said he did not see it. He said had he seen it, it would have been a technical foul. I think had he seen that there were 2 things thrown, it would have been an ejection, and that might have been the better outcome for the Nuggets, because at the point when it happened, Jamal Murray and the Nuggets, the game was over. They were absolutely done at that point of the game, so they would have been better off with Jamal Murray getting ejected and then being able to play in Game 3. I don't think he's going to play in Game 3. I really don't. And I know the NBA doesn't take lightly suspending a player for a playoff game, but you can't, Coach, you can't have guys throwing things at officials and having things end up on the court. You just can't. It's got to be a zero tolerance policy.
If the three of us were at that game and seated behind the Denver bench, and we were Nuggets fans, and we were just disgusted by the way our team played and felt the referees were hosing us, and we decided at one point, screw this, I'm throwing something on the court to show my displeasure, we would be escorted from the building and most likely put on a list that we could not go back to that building, right? If you are involved in the game, I think the penalty should be worse than what a fan would get, okay? So I think it should be multiple games. It won't be, but I think it should be multiple games in which Murray is removed from. But the referees missing the earlier actions and saying, oh, we didn't see it, didn't that in some ways, that really did hurt Denver that they didn't see it. Isn't that right, Dave? It hurt Denver.
Yeah, it hurt Denver.
If they had seen it, they might have acted differently.
Yeah, and because they didn't deal with it in the moment when it happened, and now it's a hanging thing. So I think it hurts Denver in the big picture. And, listen, Mark Davis is a veteran ref. Mark Davis is a veteran ref. He's been around a long time. He's called finals. He's, I would assume called all-star games. He is a veteran ref who I have a lot of respect for. I understand why he didn't see it, because he's standing on the baseline with his back to the bench because he's looking at the play as it's going on. I would love to know how nobody else saw it out of the corner of their eye. I don't have an explanation on that. And Matt, you wanted to chime in. What do you feel like?
Yeah, well, I disagree on the point of I kind of half disagree on the point of it was worse for the Nuggets that they didn't see it, because I don't think it was out of the realm of possibility that even if they did see it, they see it, he gets ejected, and then Adam Silver steps in and suspends him because that is still such an egregious thing. You cannot put that in the realm of emotional being. You can't do that. And by the way, I have a question for you, Dave. Was Mark Davis asked about the Malone thing? Because he did see.
I didn't see the entire pool report. I just heard them talking about the comments that he made to the pool reporter about the towel. I'm sure he probably was asked about it. I don't know why Malone wasn't teed up, but at the end of the day, the bottom line is, guys, that's the sub story. The bigger story is the Timberwolves are a legitimate threat to not only win the series, but to win the NBA title. And Stephen A. Smith last night, he tweeted out that, but I will say they're still getting disrespected because Stephen A. Smith, in part of his tweet, he put out that if the Timberwolves go on to win this game, they're probably going to sweep the Nuggets and they could be the favorites to win the title, and Ant-Man is unbelievable. Stephen A. Smith didn't even bother to look and see. Anthony Edwards' Twitter handle is not Ant-Man. And unless things have changed in the 2 years that I've called games, and I don't think that this is probably a wave that is not going to be able to be stopped. But Anthony Edwards never really liked being called Ant-Man. He wanted to be called Ant. It was his father who called him Ant-Man, and he preferred being called Ant. And that was why I came up with the Ant facts and never really called him Ant-Man. Stephen A. Smith put on his tweet at Ant-Man and didn't bother to look and see that if you click at Ant-Man, it takes you to the universe.
Tell me it was a porn star.
No, it takes you to the Marvel character Ant-Man. It takes you to the Marvel character Ant-Man and his social media platform. I mean, that's just lazy on Stephen A. Smith and shows you the Timberwolves, in spite of all that, are still not getting respected. And I saw one other national sports talk radio host getting called out on Twitter yesterday because he said, there's no way Anthony Edwards will still be in Minnesota in 2 years. It's like, really? He just signed a multi-year contract extension for max money that doesn't even go into effect till next year. So the Timberwolves have him locked up, and I'm pretty sure they're not going to trade him. So he's going to be wearing a Timberwolves uniform for quite a while, and he has said that he likes being in Minnesota. And Ant, knowing what I know about him, he's not the kind of guy that really feels like he needs to be in a big market. He said when he got to Minnesota, he didn't care about the history. He wanted to rewrite the history. And I think he's liking the challenge of that and having a chance to put this basketball team
He's going to
on
make
the
Minnesota
map.
a big market.
He's going to make Minnesota a place that guys want to play.
Minnesota's going to be the home to champions.
Yeah, we will have we'll have Kevin Seifert on to talk about all the championships that they've won after the long drought. Guys, right now, if you were gonna,
By the way, Dave, if you need to be in Minnesota for the NBA Finals, man.
Well, I've already talked to my buddy Cash. If the Mavericks, I know Coase doesn't think this will happen, but if the Mavericks beat the Oklahoma City Thunder and they're hosting the Timberwolves for the Western Conference Finals, I will come to Dallas to go watch the Western Conference Finals. I just think it would be too it would be too emotionally upsetting for me to go to Minnesota. I'm sure I would be welcomed by Timberwolves fans who've been unbelievable to me with the tweets I put out the last couple of games. But I just don't think I could go there. I think it would be too it would be too tough for me to go there. I would definitely go watch them play in the Western Conference Finals in Dallas. That I would go do. But guys, I mean, after seeing what they're doing to Denver, how do you not like them to be the team that comes out of the West? Could they beat Boston in the finals? I mean, is Boston going to be the team to get to the finals? And we also need to get to what's going on in New York, by the way, and we'll do that next segment. But the Timberwolves are.
If we don't hear by the end of the day that Murray is suspended, then the league has become a playoff joke. They're telling you, you know what? We know Minnesota's up 2-0. They're going home for 2 more games. We got to keep this thing tight because they don't care who wins. They just care about the number of games. And it sounds cynical, but you should have reacted by now to an egregious act that he did. You don't have a meeting in New York about it. You don't have a meeting with the head of officiating or the head of, saying whatever it is your penalty is. You have got to act immediately on this one. Someone ought to be checked right now. Check, see if there's a headline at. I don't know if NBA.com has anything on it.
I just checked Twitter. I got nothing.
It's embarrassing to the league.
I got nothing, but I do have apparently Tim Legler. I don't know if there's audio of this. I think I may be able to play the audio on this. Tim Legler apparently this morning on ESPN had a great line talking about Jamal Murray with the Heat pack. Well, let's listen into this morning on ESPN.
Okay, and if he's honest about that, he's 100% getting suspended. I was trying to throw the Heat pack at Mark Davis.
I don't think it's 100%. It's something less than 100%.
By the way, on the night he was 3 for 18, I'm not shocked he missed Mark Davis with the Heat.
How good is that? He was 3 for 18.
That's
I'm
a
not
great
shocked
line.
he missed Mark Davis.
That's a great line.
That is throwing shade right there. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Coase, I 110,000% agree with you. I mean, these things. I mean, obviously, NBA offices are in New York City. That's East Coast time. It is nearly 2 p.m. on the East Coast. They should have come out with something by now.
Yeah.
Whether they want, whether it's true or not, if they wanted the series to go 6-7 games, it's not gonna. It's not gonna. And this just makes them look terrible if they don't suspend Murray.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a brutal, brutal way to run your most important part of your season.
Although for what it's worth,
Draymond Green, did they do it? Did they suspend Draymond Green? That's Draymond Green.
No, but I was just they would, yes,
absolutely.
for sure. And I was just gonna say Draymond
That's
came out.
body of work.
Draymond's already come out on his podcast and said that he should not get suspended. So there's that.
He's an idiot. He's an idiot.
Draymond's wrong about that.
He's an idiot. Yeah, well, that's a debatable topic for another time. But, guys, all right, listen, we need to take a break.
Yeah.
When we come back, we're going to talk about the other basketball game last night. How about the New York Knicks living it up like it's 1994 as they are rolling
So
through
they'll
the
lose in
Garden.
the finals again.
Yeah. So the Knicks are dealing. Jalen Brunson is dealing. That is a whole lot of fun. So we will talk about the New York Knicks and Jalen Brunson coming up, and then we got to get into what's happening with Jimmy Buckets. Coase may or may not give us a 2-minute minor with the update on what's going on in the NHL. There were a couple of Game 7s to wrap up the first round of the playoffs that were really intriguing games. I want to get into some of that. And we also have to get to Ordinary Calls on a Tuesday. Oh, wait, we moved Ordinary Call to Wednesday, didn't we? What was our Tuesday thing? We were supposed to have Tuesday trivia with Bisa. That was our new thing.
Yes.
But the 3-day weekend threw us off. Bisa,
I blame Bisa.
If Bisa wants to come up with a
no, you can't blame Bisa.
Well, listen, Bisa's good enough. She could pivot and come up with a Tuesday trivia topic. So Bisa, you need a Tuesday trivia topic for later today, and then Ordinary Calls tomorrow. So we're taking a timeout. More LFG after this. Stay with us.
What if I showed you a new way to view wellness through the lens of nature in its purest form?
Everything we produce is highly functional. Reducing pain or leg cramping, everything we have, everything we've developed is designed specifically for a particular function.
What I love about this oil is that it really, it just is absorbed by your skin so much easier than other oils that I tried in the past.
I always have difficulty finding a product that's meant for me, and I feel like that's something that's really hard as an Afro-Latina. This feels so good.
Arthur, does it help to have someone to talk to?
My mother always tells me to smile and put on a happy face. She told me I had a purpose to bring laughter and joy to the world. Is it just me? Or is it getting crazier out there?
Gotham has lost its way.
What's so funny? Freak!
I used to think that my life was a tragedy. But now I realize it's a comedy.
Once upon a time I was falling in love. Now I'm only falling apart.
The next composition is Opus Dei, Dei Pater, 7th movement by Chopin. Correction, the next composition is 1877, Cars for Kids.
1877 Cars for Kids. K-A-R-S, Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Live from the Tickscape Studios. Let's f***ing go.
And now Nembhard on Brunson. Three-pointer flies, and Brunson rips the cords, makes it a two-point game.
On his former teammate, Siakam.
7-0 run. Knicks lead by 2. Brunson over Nembhard. Cash it in. As Automatic has scored at least 12 in the last 5 playoff games. And guarding Brunson here. Brunson shifty, looking for contact. Brunson got it. Sitting on 40. Kicks it, DiVincenzo, three-pointer. Down it goes. Dante DiVincenzo puts the Knicks up 3.
Wow, wow, wow. Guys, the Villanova 3 last night, as they're calling them in New York, the Villanova 3, they delivered last night again for the New York Knicks, and none were bigger than Jalen Brunson. And if you had Jalen Brunson on your list of NBA superstars to put on a Knicks uniform at the start of the season, then kudos to you, because I did not have him in superstar status. But what he is doing is absolutely ridiculous. He is the first player ever to score 40 points or more with 5 assists or more in 4 straight NBA postseason games. And the New York Knicks were on the ropes all night long last night against the Indiana Pacers. And in the end, they electrify the Garden in front of Mariano Rivera, who's sitting in the front row and got a standing ovation. And the Knicks eke out a very tough Game 1 win over the Pacers behind Jalen Brunson, who refused to let them lose. They're having a lot of fun right now at Madison Square Garden, Coz.
Yeah, they sure are. I think it's good for the game. I think it's good for the NBA. I think it's fun to watch New York go crazy. I think it's more fun to watch them go crazy and eventually come up short. I'd love to see them lose a game at home. I think that would be – you lose a game at home, people start to grip. They start to go crazy. As much fun as they've had earlier in the series, it all goes away with one home loss. So I think that's the best part of it for me to watch the Knicks, is to see their fans – get overindulged either way. A win means they're going to win the title. A loss means that Tibbs ought to get fired. That's what I love about the New York fan, is that they're so over the top on everything.
Well, the New York fan has been a long time since, the Knicks did win a playoff series last year, but they got past the Cleveland Cavaliers last year in a really tough-fought playoff series. But I think everybody kind of thought this was Julius Randle's team, long term. Where is he going to be able to take them? They're doing this without Julius Randle. That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
And I think the Knicks, and by the way, Coz, how about this? How good is this? Could we be looking at a possible New York-Boston conference finals in both the NBA and the NHL? Like, how good would that be? The Knicks and the Celtics taking on each other at the same time the Bruins and the Rangers are taking on each other. That would be amazing.
It might be bigger than the Met Gala and all the protests combined. You might finally get some news out of New York that's fun and interesting to watch. But again, we will make that all about New York City then, and they had better. The Rangers are in a good spot. They've got a tough series coming up. They're up 1-0 on the Hurricanes. The Knicks, like you said, without Julius Randle, how long? What is the shelf life of this? Are they riding a hot guy, and sooner or later that gets doused? Is it smoke and mirrors that the Knicks are doing this
Hart
with?
and Dante DiVincenzo are balling as well. I mean, it's amazing.
Is Jay Wright going to come off the sideline? Jay Wright's got to show up and just do I have it right? Yeah, have Jay Wright ought to come right in and just start coaching.
Yeah, Jay Wright taking over for Tibbs. Jay Wright shows up on the bench
as
one of Tibbs' assistants.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. And then name any other guy from those Nova team. Was it Nova or UConn? I'm missing my teams.
It was Nova.
I think it was Nova.
It was Nova.
Yeah,
for
Nova.
Sure it was Nova.
Get Jay Wright and some of those other guys from that championship.
Well, who's the guy that hit the shot on the amazing play? Because it wasn't one of those three. The game-winning shot in the national championship? Who's the guy who hit the shot?
It was I know it. It was it's on the tip of my tongue. I can't.
Well, anyway, somebody can text us in, 959-CALL-LFG, 959-CALL-LFG. You can text. You can call the show. We're happy to take your calls. What do you think? Who's the most interesting?
Chris Jenkins.
Chris Jenkins.
Chris Jenkins.
That's right, Jenkins. Yeah.
Please have Chris Jenkins and Jay Wright show up to the next game.
By the way, I have a quote that from Draymond Green on the Jamal Murray situation that just has to be shared. I'm sorry.
Is this going to be the
This
WWE
was-
thing, or is this an actual real quote?
This is a real
Is this
quote.
going to be, bitch, get in
No,
this
no,
game,
no, no,
stay
no, no,
in this
no,
game?
No. This is Bisa texted this. This is a quote from Draymond Green. He says, "I would have been on the first plane to Guantanamo Bay if I did that shit."
Well, there's no
That's what
doubt.
Draymond Green says.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
That's
but your
true.
body of work is the worst in the league,
Yeah.
Draymond.
The quote is funny. That's a pretty. No, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you on the but the quote's funny.
By the way, Coz, I told Matt during the break as you were taking a short walk that he's got to get either a mic stand or a headset mic because he's got to have his hands free.
We're working on it.
He needs
we're
hands free
working on
mode.
it.
We need hands-free Fowler. That's what we need. Hands-free Fowler. Free Matt. Anyway, 959 call LFG. The Knicks look pretty good. Cavaliers Celtics tonight, game 1. It's crazy to me, by the way.
How about the Cavaliers? How about the Cavaliers coming back from down 22 to Orlando, and
how about that?
Donovan Mitchell getting the job done as a leader? I'm a big Donovan Mitchell guy. I liked him when he was with the Utah Jazz, or I think he went 13th in the first round. Big fan of his, and I love seeing Cleveland extend a little bit. I would have been happy with Orlando, but I got to give Donovan Mitchell a lot of credit for what he did to pull his team back. How do you go down 22 at home in a Game 7, though?
You don't show up in the first quarter, apparently. They
can't do that.
Yeah, they dug themselves.
Boston
a
will
big
put
hole.
you away, by the way. Boston will put you away.
I think that's going to be a short series. I think Cavs Celtics is maybe 5 games, maybe. If the Cavaliers are lucky to win one, it'll be a gentleman's sweep. The Knicks probably, that may have been the Pacers' best shot last night. The Knicks, although I give that series a chance to still go a little bit further. I think Indiana might be tough at home, and I think Indiana is a tough matchup for the Knicks. So I don't think we've seen the last of the Pacers yet. I think that series has the potential to be a longer series. I still think the Knicks come out of there, though, especially after escaping disaster last night and potentially falling behind 0-1. But I'm very curious to see tonight the Mavericks and the Oklahoma City Thunder and see how that plays out tonight. There's some really intriguing matchups going on. But I want to talk about a team that is not playing right now, and that is the Miami Heat. And Jimmy Butler, it came out 3 days ago. This came out on Twitter. This is what Jimmy had to say. And he knew, he actually says, are we rolling? He wanted this to be put out there. This wasn't like caught accidentally. And I know, Matt, you haven't even heard this yet, so you're going to get to have your first reaction to this. This is what Jimmy Butler said that went out on Twitter yesterday. Here we go.
Video this. You got it? Yep. 1, 2, 3, action. If I was playing, Boston would be at home. New York, damn sure would be fucking at home.
Josh Hart.
What the fuck that mean to me? Josh Hart.
Yo, stop fucking with me.
Come on, man. Nah, I love Tibbs, but I don't want to. I love Tibbs. I love you, baby. I want to beat you to a pulp. You want me, I don't want you. It's like a one-sided relationship. You in love with me, and I love you, but I'm not in love with you. You know what I'm saying? Love my brother.
How about that? How about Jimmy Butler saying that, first of all, the Celtics would be home if he was playing. The Sixers would have moved on if he was still playing for Philly, and that he loves Tibbs. I love you, but I don't want to be with you. Like, what? What are you saying? And then Pat Riley had to come out yesterday and address this. And I'm going to admit this audio, unfortunately, is a little bit low. So, Matt, I don't know if you can crank me up. I'm going to crank myself to the highest level here to play this, because this is what Pat Riley had to say in response to that yesterday when he was asked about it in a Miami Heat press conference. This is Pat Riley, NBA legend, commenting on it.
You know, for him to say that, you know, I thought, is that Jimmy trolling or is that Jimmy serious? You know, if you're not on the court playing against Boston or on the court playing against the New York Knicks, you should keep your mouth shut.
How about that?
and your criticism of those teams.
If you're not playing, you should keep your mouth shut. And truer words have never been spoken. And you wonder, Jimmy's trying to get a contract extension, Coach. Is he trying to publicly negotiate his contract? This is a terrible way to do it. Jimmy's missed 25% of the Heat's games over the last couple of years. Maybe if he was out there more during the regular season, they wouldn't have to go through the play-in tournament.Maybe they'd have a higher seed. Maybe they wouldn't been bounced in the first round of the playoffs. I know they went to the finals last year. I know Jimmy is a baller. I've seen it firsthand when he was wearing a Timberwolves uniform. But, man, you got Pat Riley saying at a press conference, shut your mouth. Pat Riley doesn't take fools very well. And Pat Riley, as you have said, Coase, he told LeBron that, you know what, this isn't going to play here. We're not getting rid of our coach, and we're going to stand by our guys. Jimmy Butler might be a short-timer in Miami at this point.
Boy, that'll be interesting to see if Miami chooses to make changes. Jimmy Butler can be a pain. He can say things that are dumb. He can be – is disruptive too strong? You were there in the middle of it when he decided he wanted out in Minnesota, and you saw what he did. It was a game in Sacramento, of all things, in which he kind of imploded, and then he was gone the next morning. You've seen it firsthand. He can also be so mercurial that he's phenomenal. He can carry lesser players to greater heights. He's one of those true transformational playoff guys that when he's on, he could be shorthanded with his roster and still compete against better teams and compete to the point where his team can win. But there is a shelf life. There is a point when you go, I can't take it anymore. Is Miami at that point where they say, you know what? Time for us to remake it again. We've remade it about 7 times already, and we're always competitive. Time for us to do it again. It's like the old Dunkin' Donuts commercial. Time to make the donuts. Pat Riley's clocking in. Time to remake the roster. Got to be competitive again. Jimmy could be the guy who ends up being gone, finding a new team who he can propel forward. But boy, I'll give you a good for instance. If you're Oklahoma City and you get pounded in this playoff series by Dallas, do you sit back and say, wow, I've got a great young group of talent, but I don't have a pulse. I need to bring in a pulse. I'll give away some of my extra picks and maybe a little bit of my youth to get a guy with a pulse like Jimmy has. And that would be intriguing to me if Pat Riley says it's time for us to restart this engine.
Yeah, I don't think the Heat want to let Jimmy walk. But then, with Jimmy coming out and saying this kind of stuff, what can you get for him in a trade? Obviously, you got to do a sign and trade, and then the money's got to match. So we'll see. It may not be as easy to get rid of Jimmy as, just snapping your fingers, if indeed that's what they want to do. And Spo's obviously going to have a say in it. Spo may go to Pat and say, listen, I want to keep Jimmy here. I don't know. But I just know that I'll tell you what, it's not good. It's not good for Pat when you got Pat Riley coming out and saying, keep your mouth shut. Those are some pretty strong words out of an NBA legend. We'll see where that goes.
Totally true.
Yeah. So.
Totally true. It is. It is. But he's a guy, if you're not going deep into the playoffs, do you want to keep putting up with it? Right?
The thing is, they have gone deep into the playoffs.
You saw firsthand.
Though. They have gone deep into the playoffs. And that's,
got to the finals.
They went to the finals last year. They went to the finals in the bubble. So, Jimmy has done things for them that most people didn't expect them to do. So that's the other side of it. But you got to have Jimmy not being out there making stupid comments and not missing games. And Pat's right. If you want to be out there, you can't say if I was out there. Well, then be out there. Don't talk smack if you're not out there.
Exactly. And this is the point where if you're playing for championships, you put up with that trash talk. If you're not and you think there's a decline coming, I don't know Jimmy Butler's age, but it's not like he's 24 years old. You might decide it's not worth it. At some point you have to cut bait. Listen, Jimmy Butler in Miami is not like Draymond Green in Golden State. Draymond Green started as a second-round, played his entire career there, led them to multiple championships, or was part of the crew that got multiple championships. It might be harder to cut bait And there were opportunities for Golden State to move on from Draymond Green, right? You punch a teammate in the face, and it's on video, and it's released. You got reason to get rid of the guy. You don't get rid of the guy. The multiple times the guy has had egregious things done on the court, they still haven't gotten rid of the guy. But for Jimmy Butler in Miami, you're a rent-a-player. You don't have the same – I don't think you're as ingrained in Miami's culture as Draymond is in Golden State. I definitely think he's movable, and I definitely think there's going to be a team out there that's a taker.
So we'll see. That is a TBD for sure. Matt, you got a comment on that, Matt?
Well, I mean, I don't think any part of Golden State's culture is punching your.
I knew it. I knew Matt was going to come back with a Golden State talk.
Well, he's a main part, right?
Yeah. It's not their culture, but they
accepted
it.
You got to be kidding me.
They've
You got to be
accepted
kidding me.
it. They've accepted Draymond because they feel like he's a net positive, even though there's a lot of negative. They feel like he's a net positive.
Yes.
But how much longer they're going to feel that way is a really good question.
I'm going to kick Steven Adams in the junk. I'm going to kick Steven Adams in the junk again. I'm going to do the same thing with LeBron. All that crap. They put up with all that crap.
He didn't hit LeBron in the nuts, and I will fight anybody that says he did. He did not, because LeBron didn't flinch, and I don't think LeBron has certain appendages made of steel, okay? So.
He might.
Well, maybe, okay, but whatever. Anyway, no, that was.
But you know that there are egregious things he's done on the court.
Crying to Adam Silver in for the finals. But yes, I do agree. Draymond Green, there's a lot of shit that Draymond Green does that because they've won championships, Golden State has put up with, and I do agree with you on your part with Jimmy Butler. Yeah, they've gone deep in the playoffs. They made the finals, but they haven't won. And, like it or not, I mean, there's been talks. There was talks when Boston made the finals, but didn't win against Golden State. They said, well, okay, Boston has been making a deep run, but do you break it up now? I mean, at some point you got to kick the door down. That's what people were saying in Boston. So at some point, you got to move on from the guy that's not giving you championships. I don't care how close he gets to it.
Dude, let me ask you something. How old is Klay Thompson?
Let's see.
34?
34, yeah.
Jimmy Butler's 34.
Okay.
Jimmy Butler's 34 years old. If I'm a team that's close, that's on the cusp, I might make a run at him because I know Jimmy Butler's only got a couple of more seasons to go at a high level, right? I can put up with him for a couple of years.
Yeah, but that's not a fair comparison, though.
Yeah, it is. Who would you? Let me ask you something. If I'm Golden State, I would trade Klay for Jimmy Butler tomorrow. I would rather have 34-year-old Jimmy Butler than 34-year-old Klay Thompson. That's fair, right?
Well, okay, yes, that is fair. But you had said, and maybe I'm missing the point here. I think maybe I am. But you had said, putting up with stuff Jimmy does. And Klay Thompson has no personality issues. There's no issue there with Klay Thompson.
Yeah, I'm not talking about his personality. I'm just talking about him as a player.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, I would consider that, but
if I'm a team that's close, if I'm a team that thinks I got one more run, like you think Golden State's got one more run, they were the 10 seed this year. You think they got one more run? I would upgrade with Jimmy Butler. If I was a young team close that needed a pulse, like you know what, Dave, like when you were in Minnesota, and Tibbs thought they needed a pulse because they were too soft. And Mitchell Wiggins wasn't getting the most out of his game. And Karl Anthony Towns was kind of a soft leader. They brought him in to give him a pulse. I could see a team doing that with Jimmy Butler at the age of 34.
Well, there's no question Jimmy Butler will get another chance, and he will still have an impact. But guys, we're up against the break, so let's shelve the Jimmy talk as well. More time. We do want to talk about some things that have been happening with what's going on in Indianapolis, and it involves the Indy Racing League, and not something we'll normally talk about. But we're gonna do an Indianapolis-centric segment because there's not only the Indy Racing League, but there's news involving a guy who normally covers the Indianapolis Colts being suspended for 2 weeks. There are suspensions galore with things involving the city of Indianapolis, and we will get into all that coming up. What?
Is that the one with
Is that
the
the
milk?
one with the milk? It's the most famous race in all of racing. It's the most. If you race Daytona for 20 years and win Daytona 10 times, and you win Indy once, you will always be introduced as the winner of the Indy 500.
It is the most
That's
famous
how
race
much greater that race is. Is
domestically.
that the?
Not I would say
not even close.
F1 races might be bigger.
You could argue that. You could argue that, but a lot of international guys come here to race the Indy.
Yeah.
But is that the one with the milk, though?
Yes.
Oh my God!
How do you not
if you don't know that? Then you're off the show. You're banned from the show. You're banned from the show for the rest of the week.
Yeah, that is.
Okay, so one, I got it right because I thought that it was.
Is that the
two,
one with the milk?
And by the way,
that's
Bisa,
worse than me not knowing who Mike Jones was.
Yeah. All right, we're going to break. More of Matt not knowing things in sports.
Mike Jones.
More with things Matt doesn't know in sports coming up when we continue on LFG.
Yeah, I know.
As your body grows bigger,
Your mind loves power,
it's great to learn.
'cause knowledge is power.
It's Schoolhouse Rocky, the chip off the block of your favorite Schoolhouse Rock.
Three is a magic number. Yes, it is. It's a magic number. Somewhere in the ancient mystic trinity, you get three as a magic number. The past and the present and the future, faith and hope and charity, the heart and the brain and the body give you three as a magic number. It takes three legs to make a tripod or to make a table stand. It takes three wheels to make a vehicle called a tricycle. Every triangle has three corners, every triangle has three sides, no more, no less. You don't have to guess. When it's three, you can see it's a magic number. A man and a woman had a little baby. Yes, they did. They had three in the family. That's a magic number. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, 30.
Multiply backwards from 3 times 10.
3 times 10 is 30. 3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 4 is 12. And 3 times 3 is 9. And 3 times 2 is 6. And 3 times 1 is 3, of course.
Now take the pattern once more. 3.
3, 6, 9.
12.
12, 15, 18.
21.
21, 24, 27, 30.
Now multiply from 10 backwards.
3 times 10 is 30.
Going
3 times 9 is 27. 3 times 8 is 24. 3 times 7 is 21. 3 times 6 is 18. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 4 is 12. And 3 times 3 is 9. And 3 times 2 is 6. And 3 times 1. What is it? 3! Yeah, that's a magic number. A man and a woman had a little baby. Yes, they did. They had 3 in the family. That's a magic number.
Work.
It's the bottom of the hour, or close enough. Time for your Tickscape Studios Sports Update with Matt Fowler.
99 out of 99 equals 100%. How about that for some math? Victor Wembanyama has been named the NBA's Rookie of the Year, garnering all 99 first-place votes. And in other news in the NBA, we are looking at a doubleheader. Cleveland taking on Boston in Game 1 today, and the opening series between Dallas and Oklahoma City kicking off doubleheader on TNT beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. For all the latest news, updates, hot takes, and apparently math and multiplication lessons, tune in to LFG with Dave Benz, Jim Kozimor, Matt Fowler, myself, and associate producer Bisa. Now back to LFG. Dave, that's 3 letters.
LFG is 3 letters. You're right. Welcome back to LFG. Schoolhouse Rock is the name of that, Matt. It was Saturday morning cartoons, and that was a staple. And Coz, I do have the I'm Just a Bill on Capitol Hill one. I can put that one into the rotation tomorrow. So that's
a classic.
Yeah,
that's on the Mount Rushmore of those. That's on the Mount Rushmore of Schoolhouse Rocks.
The Schoolhouse Rock. I'm Just a Bill on Capitol Hill. Gotta love it. All right, so before the break, I teased what was going on in Indianapolis. Now, guys, I didn't hear the exchange, but here's what has been the video that's been linked to it. So let's take a listen to this real quick. This is Caitlin Clark being interviewed by Greg Doyle, who normally covers the Indianapolis Colts for the Indianapolis Star-Tribune, amongst other outlets, was covering the Indiana Fever, and this was an interaction that he had with Caitlin Clark.
This was the story last week.
Okay, now you're talking over the thing. All right, here we go. I got to restart it because Matt decided to talk. Here we go.
Hi, Caitlin. Greg Doyle, Indy Star. Real quick, let me do this.
You like that?
I like that you're here. I like that you're here.
I do that at my family after every game, so.
Okay, well, let's start doing it to me and we'll get along just fine. So, question is.
So he made the heart sign at Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
And then said, start doing that to me and we'll get along just fine. Like, what? What are you doing? What is this guy doing?
He was joking. He was having fun, and it was lighthearted. It was a lighthearted moment.
I agree with both of you. Yes, he was joking, but you can't do that. You cannot, because you got to know what you cannot do that. You have to know what you say is going to be construed and twisted. I know he probably didn't mean anything bad by it, but that sounds really bad.
I don't think it sounded bad at all. It sounded like he was having fun, and people there were laughing.
Okay, Coz, let's flip it around. If it was if it was,
a female reporter who said to me,
if it was if it was, I'm trying to think who's the Colts running back. I'm drawing a blank on it right now. Who's the Colts running back?
so am I. But he's really good.
Yes,
Taylor. Josh Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor. If it was Jonathan Taylor was doing that to his wife after every touchdown, and Greg Doyle did that to Jonathan Taylor, would that be acceptable? I mean, so he's been suspended for 2 weeks.
But it's not the same. It's not the same. I don't know if they were having a light-hearted moment beforehand, and he said that, and he was joking, and Jonathan laughed, and it wouldn't have meant it would have been, yeah, okay, that's funny. That's stupid funny. It sounded to me like everyone was laughing. So I don't know what the lead-up question was beforehand. I don't know what the idea was. I think she was being nice by explaining why she does it. Maybe she figured, oh, he doesn't know I do this to my family before every game, or my boyfriend, or whoever it may have been, and she was just being nice to explain it. And he was I just thought he said something that was off the cuff that didn't matter. If he'd have said that to Jonathan Taylor, who I'm assuming he has a layer of relationship with, it would have sounded like a goofy thing to say to a running back. That whole comparing men and women, would you ask that to a man? Oh, God.
No,
I'm just over it.
It's not okay. Because I am in Caitlin Clark's age bracket, kind of, not real well.
No, you're not. You're a third older than she is.
Well, okay.
You're half older than she is. What's the math on that? She's 20, you're 30.
Okay, yeah. Well, we just had the house of.
Do the math.
Whatever.
Is it divisible by 3?
Anyway, point is, I am closer to Caitlin Clark's age than you guys are. Okay, so let me just. All right. So, it's it sounds kind of creepy.
How? How?
does.
That is some stupid thing young people say. Cringy, creepy.
No,
Tell
no,
me
it is creepy.
how. It's
Because-
lighthearted.
Because okay,
Did she or did she not laugh? I don't know. I didn't see the video.
No,
Did she
no,
laugh?
Okay, so Dave, let me.
Hey
let
guys,
me
hey guys,
Let me.
guys, I'm stepping in for
Yeah.
1 second. I'm getting word that
Yeah.
our stream is the Wi-Fi is bad, and I'm told I can connect to a new Wi-Fi that should be better. Which means I'm going to take the
Okay,
show down
I
for a
love it.
second because there's no sense doing this if nobody can hear it. So I'm going to stop the
The
stream
line
for a
on
second.
that is,
you guys
the line
can
is
debate
you've been
amongst
taking the show
yourselves.
down for months.
Yeah. So I'm stopping the stream for a second. I'm going to reconnect the Wi-Fi. Don't go anywhere, but I'll be back on in 2 seconds, hopefully. So if you're watching the stream, we'll be back.